I mean, I definitely credit a lot of my ambition and like all of
Mhm.
that from Richmond. Not only just being prepared academically, but like also keep having that athletic mentality. I
Right.
mean, we were all D1 athletes that were also doing very rigorous like academics, and like that
Hmm.
just like trains you to then go out into the world and then also dominate.
Right.
So I'm definitely grateful for that.
Mark Thompson. He told me Mark Thompson. Let's start by saying hello and welcome again to another Let's Dream Big CTA podcast. I am your host, Mark Thompson, your interview expert, back with another promised banger for this summer. I have an incredible, special, dear friend of mine. Again, this is probably again going to be the Spider podcast. All the University of Richmond folks that I know that are doing incredible things. And today I have a very special guest. She is the beauty editor at large for Cosmopolitan Magazine. She is a mom of two beautiful children. She's a beautiful wife, a great inspirational influencer out here in these streets, and I love her to death. So I wanted to bring you all Miss Julee Wilson. How you doing, Julie?
Hey, what's up? What up, fam? So good to see you.
No, it is awesome. It's a pleasure. I'm so glad you were able to join. I know I had to fight you tooth and nail to try
Yeah,
to get you here, but when you said
I
yes, I'll be
know.
on
There's
there,
a
I was
lot going on.
yes, you're super busy, but I love it. I love to watch your social media. I love to watch what you're doing and what and who you connect with. You know so many people. You need to be on this show because I like to expose people's careers, career journey, your motivation, and in how you even got to where you are today. So you are important to
Yeah,
introduce to people in this world. You're very valuable. So
thank you.
let's jump directly
Thank
straight
you. I
into
appreciate
it.
it. Let's
Yeah.
go.
People are
Let's do
like,
it.
a lot of people. Somebody called me they called me a corporate whore. Like, how do you know so many people? And I'm like, no. But I was like, yeah, I do know a lot of people. I know some incredible people, and you're here. So let's tell the people, who is Julee Wilson? What are you about, and where did you come?
Who am I? I always say I'm a tall glass of sass. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, all of those things. And then career wise, that's all dope. But what makes me doper is that I get to tell stories in a big way,
Mm,
and I get to be the beauty editor at large at Cosmo, and I've had really amazing jobs. And um, my purpose in my career is to really celebrate and create more space for Black and Brown people in
mm.
the beauty industry and fashion industry as well, but mostly beauty is my thing now. So yeah, it's been quite the journey. I feel super blessed that I get to do what I do and be extra Black about it.
Yes, extra Black. I know. I would go to Essence Fest, and you were working at Essence at one time, and you were the beauty editor there as well. And when I told my friends,
Hmm.
I know somebody who works for Essence, she's whatever. She's like, no, you don't. I said, come with me. And well, there she is right there. You were like, hey, it was like, wow, you do know somebody. She was like, yeah, I'll be right back. I got to go meet with India Ari. I'm like, ah. He's like, how do you know her? I said, man, we went to Richmond together. So the connection is there.
Yeah.
Your career journey, your story, like, tell me about that. Like, how did you even get into? I don't even know what you were studying in school. We no one knew what we were all studying. We were just at school trying to make
I know. And we
it.
were athletes, so we would
Yeah.
see each other, you in the athletic building and that
Hmm.
sort of thing. But I was a double major in leadership studies and
Mm.
journalism. I got my BA from Jepson School of Leadership Studies. So, but every summer in between my years at Richmond, I was interning in New York City. I'm from outside Philadelphia, but I
Hmm.
knew from a very early start that I wanted to be a journalist in the fashion and
Mm.
beauty space. And so after my freshman year at Richmond, I went to New York and I interned at Bergdorf Goodman, which is this like very famous department store.
Right.
High end department store. I didn't know anyone in the magazine world, so I did go to a really small boarding school in Pennsylvania,
Mm.
Quaker boarding school. Shout out to Westtown School.
What town?
And one of the students there, her father was the one of the senior vice presidents at Bergdorf's, and so I kind of figured out a way to get to New York, get into fashion through
Mm.
her. So started kind of in retail, but then my next summer, after my sophomore year, I interned at Vibe magazine. The summer after that, I interned at Condé Nast Traveler, and the summer after that, I graduated, and I ended up getting a internship at Parenting magazine, and that kind of jump started my full time career in journalism. So after
Mm.
my internship, I interned at Parenting for maybe 2 months. And
Mhm.
then I got my first full time job in magazines at Real Simple magazine. I was the assistant to the editor in chief. So if anyone knows the movie like Devil Wears Prada, she was the
Mhm.
assistant to the Anna Wintour, Miranda Priestley. I was more of like a glorified like assistant to the head of the magazine. She was not a devil. She did wear Prada, but she wasn't a devil. And she and I learned a lot there, and I moved up
Right.
from her office to the fashion department. So I was at Real Simple for like 6.5 years, moving my way up. My last job there was staff fashion editor. After that, I went to the Huffington Post,
Mm.
where I became a not only just fashion but also a beauty writer. I
Mhm.
spent 4.5 years at HuffPost, and then that's when I went to Essence in 2016. And I spent 4 years at Essence. I started off as the fashion and beauty director, and then I kind of let fashion go and like really went all in on beauty, and I became the global
Mm.
beauty director at Essence. And then in 2020, literally the top of the pandemic, I started at Cosmo. I started
Mm.
April 1st, 2020. So I didn't even see the inside of my office until like almost a year later, because of the pandemic. But I
Right.
was working from home, doing all the things. So I've had like a really cool trajectory. I've been able to be at, you know, a woman's interest
Mm.
magazine, like Real Simple, then going to a juggernaut like a digital juggernaut like the Huffington Post when it
Right.
mattered. I feel like a lot of people don't read the Huffington Post now, but it was big when I was there.
Right.
And then to go to Essence, which I think all journalists of color want to touch Essence at some point, such a
Mhm.
heritage brand. So got to do that and celebrate the dopeness of Black women every single day. And then now to have spent 4 years at Cosmo is great because Cosmo is
Yeah.
the biggest young women's media brand in the world.
Yeah.
So I've really been able to touch some really amazing brands and storytell on a really high level.
That your story has levels. You know, I love bringing on people because there's levels to this. You have your life is the meaning of that phrase. There's levels to this, right? Um,
Yeah.
this is awesome because I try to take it back to the beginning. You had a dream. Two things here. When did you first start dreaming of being where you are today? But then also, who was your inspiration to give you the mindset to go after what you want to do?
I mean, I definitely looked up to a lot of the Black women that I saw that were
Mhm.
in the publishing world. I mean, Susan Taylor, who
Mhm.
is, the longest running editor in chief at Essence, she was amazing. Michaela Angela Davis. There's Beth Ann Hardison, who was in the fashion and beauty space. There's just
Mhm.
so many, especially Black women that were
Right.
doing that. I mean, you got Andre Leon Talley as well. So there
Yes.
were definitely people that I could look to, like vision wise, but I also knew I wanted to kind of like do it my own way.
Mhm.
There are very few people of color that have been able to sit at the tables I've sat at, right? And so I
Right.
want to make sure that I'm not only, I don't know, being a good steward of that seat, but
Mhm.
also making sure that I bring people in with me, right? I have to make it happen
Mhm.
for the next generation. But as far as inspiration, I feel like I look to those people, and then I just kind of, you just kind of like have to understand your dopeness. I mean, I think that
I like that.
comes from like my parents and my
Mm.
village. I have people around me from my blood family to my chosen family that remind me who the fuck I am. I'm sorry if I'm
Mm.
cussing on
No,
your
it's
your
okay.
podcast.
It's okay.
But like, but I feel like we all need that, right? We
Yes.
all need people to remind us of our dopeness.
Mm.
And that just becomes the battery in your back to be like, no, I can do this. No, I can
Mhm.
go for that job. No, I can do these things. And as charmed as my career sounds, like there was a lot of no's. I
Right.
mean, there was a lot of tears happening of jobs I wasn't getting. I always
Mhm.
tell the story of, I mean, I was rejected from getting a job at Essence 3 times. So
Mm.
like I applied to work at Essence 3 times. They told me no 3 times before they called me and asked me to be the fashion and beauty director. So like I think it's about also being able to like weather those no's,
Right.
keep your head down, keep working, keep doing the work that you know is your purpose.
Right.
And then eventually those people who said no are going to wake up and be like, hold on, what is she doing every, like we need her. So like that I feel like is such like a strong testimony for me.
That's an amazing testimony. No's build resilience, but they also let you go back to the drawing board. And I know
Hmm.
we work with a lot of young folks, teaching them about career development and really how to dig deep into yourself. And more about that is knowing yourself. I think two things you talked about. You know yourself, but you know yourself because you had a tribe, you had a community that was behind you and understanding your dopeness. I'm going to use that. Like that's to me is a driving force behind your motivation. And a lot of people don't,
Hmm.
they suffer from that or they don't know how to tap into that because there's your mind, your mind is taking you away from things. You put doubt in it. You
Hmm.
put fear into the results or you're scared because there's perfection. Not one person that's gone through life that has success hasn't gone through failure. And that failure is what built them into who they are today. Your story resonates that altogether. Um, we
Yeah.
tie a lot of these things together when it comes to networking in the community and building it up. So pushing those or finding it. So if you don't have that tribe, go build it too, because that
Hmm.
actually helps with that as well. So thank you for sharing that. That is
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I can add more to that as well. But I think with your storyline, with the different jobs, with the positions today, the title for our discussion, like to just throw it right there in the middle, is let me make sure I read it correctly. It was the evolution of your career success. You have shown the evolution already. I think we done the whole podcast right now. You've already shown the evolution of
Well,
that.
I mean, there's definitely more nuance in that.
Right.
I think when I first started off, it was just about getting my foot in the door,
Mhm.
and getting any job I could get. Um, Publishing is a really interesting
Mm,
industry in that there's a masthead in magazines, right? Like there's
mhm,
this many jobs, there's this many people in each department. So they don't take the best and the brightest of every class. It's not like
mm,
finance or like all of these other things. You have to wait for someone basically to leave a job in order for that job to come available. And then
mhm.
everyone and their mother wants it. There's a lot of nepotism. There's nepotism in all industries, but
Yeah.
when you have this, when jobs are this scarce, it's
Mhm,
really hard to get in. So for me, it was just like, let me get in any way I can. I
mhm.
ended up getting an amazing job at Real Simple. That wasn't necessarily the genre. Nobody knows Real Simple for fashion and
Right.
beauty. They do it, but it's not like Vogue and Glamour and Cosmo
Mm,
and Elle and Harper's Bazaar. And so for me, a lot of my career, I had a chip on my shoulder in that I didn't work at any of those magazines. I went
mm,
from a women's interest magazine whose biggest competitor was Martha Stewart. Like
mm.
when you're 20 something years old, none of your like 20 something year old friends are reading Real Simple or Martha Stewart. So
Exactly.
yes, I had a job at like a fun, cool magazine, like a magazine, but it wasn't necessarily cool,
Right.
right? And so, but I was like, it doesn't matter. I have a job. I'm writing stories. I'm doing the thing. And then I went to the Huffington Post, which was great. Again, back in 2011, when I went to Huffington Post, it was huge. It was like the New
Mhm.
York Times of digital, it was like
Right.
this big news site, but it wasn't editorial again. It wasn't, doing, shoots with Naomi Campbell and like all of that. It was very much a news organization. And then once I left HuffPost to go to Essence was definitely up in the cool factor, but it was
Mm.
niche, right?
Yes.
It's not mass. It's very much the Black community, the Black woman. So cooler, but also very narrow in its audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really get a taste of that like cool factor until now being at Cosmo. But in retrospect, as much as that was a chip on my shoulder in my evolution of my career, that I wasn't one of these big, fancy, splashy fashion and beauty
Mm-hmm.
media brands, I now am so thankful for that because I was
Mm-hmm.
able to really create a lane and a lot of buzz around myself as a writer because I was
Mm-hmm.
at these places that allowed me to say things that I probably couldn't say at these other places.
Right.
I'll give you an
Right.
example. So, like when Gucci um, plagiarized, I'm going to use the quote. They plagiarized when they plagiarized Dapper Dan and they stole
Mm-hmm.
one of his designs, and they ended up doing a collaboration with Dap. But when the news official first hit, those big fashion brands and media groups couldn't say plagiarize, right? They're getting
Right.
money from Gucci. Gucci is an advertiser, all of those things. But here I am I think at the time I was at Essence when that happened. And
Mm-hmm.
Essence, yes, is a brand that has advertising stuff, but Gucci was an advertiser.
Mm-hmm.
So I could say it with my whole chest that Gucci plagiarized here. This wasn't right. This is another form of racism, all of those things. And I remember when that happened, all of those other big media brands like Glamour and here and there
Mm-hmm.
quoted me because they couldn't say it, but they were like, Julie from
Wow.
Essence says it's plagiarism, you know? Or
Right.
when I was at the Huffington Post, because it was a news brand and we, again, weren't getting advertising from fashion and beauty, I could call out a fashion brand for doing blackface or doing X,
Mm-hmm.
Y, and Z. I was able to have that freedom and autonomy to
Right.
say the things that needed to be said without being shackled because there was advertising money attached.
Mm-hmm.
So in so looking back, I'm grateful that I didn't have all of those maybe splashy, jobs because I've now am very much known in the industry as somebody will say the thing,
Right.
and like,
Got you.
and be the voice of not only reason but truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really, it's just funny, you talking about evolution and the fact that I didn't feel like I was evolving in the right way while I
Mm-hmm.
was on my path. And now in retrospect, I'm like, that happened for a reason. That was dope. That like allowed me to like be who I am today.
That's unique because you actually created your brand for the industry, and
Hmm.
because of that, you're out there in the world for forever. Like I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. We
Yeah.
definitely want to promote how to create a brand. I think that's a scary piece for a lot of people because it's like, how do I promote and push myself out there? But it is definitely being yourself authentically, just being yourself and
And that's hard.
understanding it's super hard. Like it's super hard to
It's not
really.
easy. I mean, I think we talk about it like it's easy, but it's
Mhm.
not. I mean, that is definitely, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like that has definitely been the reason why I've been able to have the following I do, to have the career
Mhm.
I do, because I have been unapologetically authentic, right? But that takes a lot of courage.
Yes.
Like especially in a world where we're comparing ourselves,
Mhm.
um, a lot of these, influencers out there or people, public figures, it's so prescribed, it's so perfect. The pictures have to be perfect,
Mhm.
and the filter has to be this or that. And so I have I spent many years trying to figure out like if I take a little bit of what this girl does and this girl does and this girl does, then that
Mhm.
could make like a really cool Julie. And then eventually I was just like, I just got to be me.
Yeah.
Like, it's too much work trying to be someone else. And I'm telling you, the second I was like, let me just do me,
Mhm.
all the followers came, all of the brand sponsorships came, everything.
Right.
Because nobody wants the same cookie cutter, you know, aesthetic.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like that authenticity has really helped me.
Well, I'm proud of you because,
Thanks.
to watch TV, to watch and look at magazines. And my daughter, I'm like, "Hey, I know her. I know her." She's like, "You know her? You know a celebrity?" I was like, "Yeah, she's a celebrity. You know,
I am not a celebrity.
you are a
I
celebrity
am a
in my
public
book."
figure in a sense that, like, yes, I do go on national television. I do get these opportunities. But
Hmm.
again, I'm I take those opportunities and those things like very seriously. Like my
Hmm.
column here at Cosmo is called Yours, Mine, Ours, and it's an intersection between Black culture and beauty. I'm
Hmm.
in a very white space talking about very Black things and things that are important, right? Like
Hmm.
I can write about anything in beauty, but I'm choosing to make sure that if I'm beginning real estate in the biggest young women's media brand in the world, that
Hmm.
I'm going to tell some stories that matter to me and my community because I want them to be seen. I want them to be celebrated.
Hmm.
Um, and even when I go on the Today Show, like I make sure, as you know, as quiet as it's kept, I don't even tell the Today Show producers that I'm doing this, but like when I pitch the products I want to put on the show, I make sure half of them are Black owned.
Right.
Like I don't say it online. I don't say it to the producer. I don't necessarily say it on air, but
Hmm.
I just make sure if I have 8 products I can talk about, I'm going to make sure at least 4 of them are Black owned because I understand the power I have, right? To put
Yes.
these brands on in a big way, and I'm not going to squander that power.
That's to I watched your social media when you put all of those black products out. I was like, I had no idea there were so many. But to young women, young African American women out there, these are for you. They're made for you. You know, they're made for
Yeah.
our skin. So you have to actually I love the one part about Essence, it was that whole beauty section. And there were lines longer than Disney World because those products help black people, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that because, like I said, you're creating these pathways
But
for
I also wrote a column, I think my two issues ago that said
Mhm.
Black owned is for everyone.
Yeah.
Because I don't it's not on us to always have to make sure that Black owned companies survive and thrive. Like
Hmm.
I, I just think there's a learning curve there too, you know,
It
because
is.
I'll say to someone, "Oh, this is amazing. This is Black owned," and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have a Black friend that will love that,"
Right.
and I'm like, "No, no, no, it's for you too. Your skin gets dry
Right.
and ashy as well. Like these lipstick colors could look good on you. This, you know, unless it specifically says this is for melanated skin, this is
Right.
for textured Afro hair, like then we get it. It's for us
Hmm.
by us, FUBU."
Right.
But I also think it's I take it very seriously to let the world know that
Hmm.
these Black owned brands are not just for Black people. We Everyone needs to support them.
Right. I get that wholeheartedly. But you also know in the African American community, we just don't support us enough. So
Yeah,
from
for
both
sure.
sides.
For sure. We
Yeah,
need to.
yeah. We definitely gotta hold hands and then also share it with the world. So I think it's highly important that. But we do own all the butters. I tell you, we have the best skin. I got called 30 the other day and I was so happy. I got
Look,
called 30.
black I hate to say black don't crack because it just cracks a lot later.
Yeah, a lot later.
And it might just be like a little fine cracks. Like we don't have big cracks, which I
Right.
think is amazing. But yeah, I wrote about the butters as well. I wrote
Mhm.
that um lotion in the Black community is a verb. Like did you lotion? Don't leave this house before you lotion. Like it's a thing, right?
Right,
Like it's
right.
a thing for us. But that's what's so beautiful about our community that we can take this like object, this noun, and make it a
Mhm.
verb. This is
Right.
like something that you know, we really I don't know, embody in like
Mhm.
very cool ways.
Yes, cocoa butter is essential. The big gallon of it is essential in the Black
Oh
community.
yeah, absolutely.
That's great. That's great.
Can't be walking around ashy.
So, with your career journey, everything that you've done, the great thing that I've always seen is you've bumped elbows with plenty of celebrities. So you're a celebrity, me, but celebrities, like who have you met? Who's the most, I guess, who's probably the most inspirational celebrity that you met that just like had your mouth wide open, you know?
I mean, Oprah.
Ah,
I mean, but that's easy. I mean, like, if anyone's met Oprah, I'm sure they're like Oprah.
mm,
I mean, that kind of uh, feels too easy, but she is. Like, she
right.
was, I've worked with her twice. And literally each time I was just like, I'm like, oh, she's like the Oprah that everyone talks about. Like, she is just
Mm,
this, like, there's this aura around her. And she's so kind. And she like learned my name and was saying my name. And like, it was very cool. Oprah is very
wow.
cool. But I've met I mean, there's so, like you said, I've been
Name them.
super blessed that
Who
I've
have you worked
been,
with? Who have you talked to? Like everybody wants to know because I see it, but if they don't know it, like I
I
can
mean,
name
so many. I mean, name someone. I probably work with them. I mean, it's like I've worked with Denzel Washington,
some. Wow.
Viola Davis, and Taraji P. Henson, and Octavia Spencer, and Janelle Monáe, and Shaka Khan, and Solange Knowles, and SZA, and Lotto, and Tracy Ellis Ross, and Iman, Sierra. Like, I mean, the
The list is
I don't
long.
know who it just keeps going. It's great. Michael B. Jordan.
Mhm.
Um, who else? I mean, Yara Shahidi.
Mhm.
Um, it's just everyone. It I've definitely been able to meet some true icons
Mhm.
in my career. And and had some really like intimate, it's not just like, hey, what's up, like, obviously when you work at Essence, I mean, you've
Mhm.
been to Essence Festival, there's a lot
Right.
of celebrities everywhere. And when I was at, like Black Women in Hollywood, like events, like you see people, you're like mixing and mingling with people, but like
Mhm.
I really cherish the times that I've gotten to sit down and like talk to folks and like have interviews with them. So I've written several cover stories. And so, my first cover story ever was with Essence, and I interviewed Misty Copeland, who
Mm.
is the most badass ballerina on the face of the planet,
Right.
who happens to also be a badass Black woman,
Mhm.
and a friend of mine. And so I got to interview her right as she was becoming the first principal ballerina for the American
Mm.
Ballet Theater. I've done a cover story with uh, Tracy Ellis Ross, who I really
Mm.
love. My most recent cover story was with Lotto, the rapper Lotto, and
Mhm.
we actually literally
Big
got
Lotto.
naked together. Big Lotto, not the little one. Um, and we actually like got naked together and got a couples massage together, and
Wow.
like that even opens up another like level of vulnerability, right? I'm
Mhm.
not just sitting across the table with her asking her questions.
Right.
We're literally laying on a table naked next to each other, and I'm asking her about her life.
Right.
So so I love the fact that I've been able to meet so many celebrities, but I also think it's like the intimacy that I've been able to create
Mhm.
with them, and like then have the honor to like tell their story. Because it's
No.
like Tracy Ellis Ross, I'm like, Diana Ross, your mama is gonna read my words. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Diana Ross is gonna actually probably read this. Like, not only do I have to impress Tracy, I have to impress your whole icon of a mother.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And here's another beautiful thing about it. It's not just your job, it's your personality. It's Julie Wilson coming into this with a passionate heart. And this is something that, I've expressed this to most of my guests because it's all the spiders, all the incredible spider women that I found are on this show. But you all had great hearts. You especially very open, genuine, kind-hearted, loving. You didn't have any beef with anybody. It was like everybody loves Julie. Why is she so
Mm-hmm.
special? And that carries, I can't see that not happening in your life with anybody you meet with. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure they share a great sentiment as well of how working with you, being around you, being personal, creating relational intimacy is just valuable. So that makes a lot
Thank
of sense.
you.
Like you're not short, or I wouldn't say even being shy, being an incredible person to the people that you
I
meet.
was
So
gonna say, did you see this coming when we were at Richmond?
No.
Could you see this career coming or
I
no?
didn't see anything coming. Like, I am in awe. So one of the beautiful things, and I say this probably happens at a lot of schools, but particularly at Richmond, us coming up, when you go on LinkedIn and you go look at everybody or anybody that you know we're all doing successful, amazing things. If we're not
Yeah.
managing, directing, if we're not being celebrities, if we're not actors, actresses, event planners, if we're not head coaching women's basketball teams, we're in the NFL, we're VPs in the NFL, we're general managers in the NFL, we're doing big things. And I'm like, wow, this is leadership, right? But it was taught
Hmm.
to us or put into us subconsciously. I don't know what it was. We all came from great backgrounds. And even if we didn't come from great backgrounds, we still were it was something that was put in us. I actually want to just give that big shout out to University of Richmond and our coaches
Yeah.
and everybody that was there. But you look back, I'm like, we're all doing great things,
Yeah.
like not on a small scale either. Great
No,
things.
I mean, I definitely credit a lot of my ambition and like all of
Mhm.
that from Richmond. Not only just being prepared academically, but like also keep having that athletic mentality. I
Right.
mean, we were all D1 athletes that were also doing very rigorous like academics, and like that
Mhm.
just like trains you to then go out into the world and then also dominate.
Right.
So I'm definitely grateful for that.
And
And being able to make you guys, all the football players, bedazzled
I
shirts. Do you remember my bedazzled shirts I would make?
I didn't get one.
Yeah, I think you did.
Mm-mm.
Don't lie.
Nope.
I'm
I didn't
pretty
get
sure you
one.
got
You
one.
didn't. No bedazzling for me. Might have been after I left. I don't
Okay.
know. Maybe Lee and not. Yeah, they probably got one. But no, this is good because one of the things about what we just talked about, it wasn't easy. It was hard. I'll tell you right now.
Hmm.
When I got my degree, I didn't think it's behind me back here. I didn't think I was going to get a degree. I knew I passed, but I was so scared. It was a dream of mine. I had another, but we had the same dream. Claude Diggs, me and him had the same dream that we woke up and we never graduated because it was so hard. Like Richmond was not
Mm,
easy. And people thought, athletes, they go to school, somebody's going to do your homework for you. You'll have groupies. It was not the case. We'd had none of that. It was a very
no.
small school.
No,
I did
you had to work for everything there, for sure.
everything. I did every single assignment. I did everything in there. So anyway, that was a good
Yeah.
segment there. So
Yeah.
let's talk about you. So you have this awesome career. You meet so many celebrities. You're super busy. You're super in everything, traveling around the entire world, and then you have to come home and be mommy and wife. Talk about that experience for
Oh my God, it's the best. They're the best. I have the the most brilliant, fine ass husband. Shout out to
you.
Rasan.
Yeah.
He's amazing and great father. And then we have these two like incredible bright lights of children.
Hmm.
Orion is going to be 10 next month.
Hmm.
And Nadir is 3. So two just like rambunctious, full of energy boys. It's just such a joy to watch them grow up, to
Hmm.
see them like become like real humans. There's 6.5 years difference between them.
Hmm.
So we got like a really good chunk of time watching Orion kind of grow into himself. And
Hmm.
then now being able to kind of do it all over again with Nadir has been great too. And like, seeing Orion on the flag football field or the baseball field, or he just
Hmm.
got a black belt, like a whole grown person black
Right.
belt at the age of 9. Like, my husband and I were both athletes. So like, it's so cool to see like our athleticism kind of manifest through our children as well, and to get
Hmm.
back into that competitive mindset. Like I'm that mom in the stands, like screaming at the top of their lungs and like this.
Right.
So it's really nice. And then Nadir, our youngest, is like a showman. He thinks he's Usher.
Mm.
Like he can perform the whole Usher Super Bowl halftime performance. Like he
Wow.
has like a mic stand. He is just Mr. Showman.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I just love being a mom. I think it's the best job in the world. And I think it just really helps me become even a better editor and writer because
Mm.
um, just also seeing life through them, but it also
Mhm.
focuses you. I always say this to like women who are going to become moms or want to become moms.
Mhm.
And I'm always just like, it just makes you laser focused because you don't have time to
Mhm.
BS anymore. It's like, I got to get into my office, I got to do my work, and then I got to go home to be a mom. Like, there's
Mhm.
no more lollygagging. It's like,
Right.
let's go. So I really appreciate them for that too, to make me a better editor, Julie.
Yeah, I think it strengthens your why. Why do you
Hmm.
do this every day? Why do you get up every morning? Why do you sacrifice these things so you can see them stand on top of your shoulders? The same things that our parents did for us as well.
Hmm.
And your husband definitely a great supporter. You bring your family with you, and if you anyone watches your journey, you bring your family with you on some of your work events or even just to travel and have fun. I love just seeing where
Hmm.
you guys are going, the fun you're having, the exposure you're giving to your kids at a young age, so they know, wow, I'm not going to be impressed by a woman who wants to take me to the Cheesecake Factory.
I love it. I love it. No,
So, yeah,
we're doing
Mark.
big.
Yeah, that exposure is awesome. That's amazing. But yeah, so being a mom and balancing that balancing act, you do it well. I don't even ask you how you do it because obviously, again, you do it so well. And I believe I want to say it has to do a lot with communication. It has to do a lot with understanding goals and values of what your family is trying to drive toward. So, would you agree with that?
I agree. I definitely don't think, I'm glad it looks like I'm balancing. I don't think I'm actually doing that in reality.
Mhm.
Sometimes, I mean, I'm definitely someone who believes like social media is like a farce in
Mm.
the grand scheme of things. It's a highlight reel, right?
Yeah, right.
I try to be as I try to be as transparent as possible. Again, going
Hmm.
back to the authenticity piece. I think a lot of my followers really appreciate that. That I'm
Right.
like, you know, um, keep it real because there are times where I fail being a mom or a wife,
Hmm.
or I drop the ball in my job and I don't make that deadline or whatever, and like have to ask for an extension. And like,
Hmm.
that's hard, but it's real. Like, I have to
Right.
be real. I can't act like I'm out here just killing it day to day, doing all of the things. Like, sometimes it is tough.
Hmm.
But again, I think that makes my story that much more special, right?
Hmm.
Like, and it like puts less pressure on you when you feel like you
Right.
have to get everything right. Like, I'm just like, I'm not perfect. I'm
Right.
not a perfect person, and things are gonna fall. Some balls are gonna fall sometimes, but
Mhm,
thankfully, I have the village, I have the strength, I have my health, all the things to then pick up the balls and
mhm.
like get back to juggling. But believe me, it is not a real true balance. I don't think everyone can have it all. You can have a lot, but you can't have it all.
That's amazing. That's good. Let's big question. Now this question I think is big because you've done a lot, but what would you say your biggest milestone has been so far to date? Good
In my
question.
career or
In your
life,
Let's go both. Let's see. Let's look at the parallels here. Let's say both. Start with life because I think life you can probably articulate it and see that, especially with everything you have going on.
I mean, I think life is honestly finding Rasan, like finding my life
Mm,
partner, being
mm,
like, because he beget my children, like without
right.
him, I wouldn't have Orion and Nadir. Like, I might
Mhm,
have children, I might have been with someone else and had another family, but like this specific like iteration, this manifestation of my life would not be what it would be if I hadn't found Rasan. So I'm like very grateful that I found my person
wow.
and that we created this life together and that we complement each other so much. Like,
Mm,
we're we're very two very different people. He's like
mhm.
very, I mean, I think he just got on like Instagram maybe like a year or two ago. He was like not about, and I'm like, let me put us up and like, here, let's
Right.
take a picture and a selfie. And so he's not that dude, but like
Mhm,
we complement each other so much, and he's such a like an amazing husband, but like an even more amazing father. So that's definitely like my personal flex,
mhm.
my biggest personal flex is
Right.
him. And then I think career wise, I mean, that's really tough. I think it's
Mhm.
just a culmination of having been able to like build a name for myself. it's
Mm,
very, very hard to kind of become quote unquote someone in this space. There's so
right.
many talented people. Um there's so many brands, there's so many folks out there, so many content creators.
Mm,
Um and I just feel very blessed that I've been able to be someone that is known, or like people read my work. Like
mhm,
nothing brings me more joy than when people either recognize me out and about. And again, I'm not a celebrity, so it's not like I can walk down the street and nobody knows who I am. There's certain spaces in which I will be and people will know me, especially when it
mhm.
comes to Black women. Like
Right.
that's my Black women over everything. That's my real bread and butter, that as far as like my community that I'm speaking to.
Mhm,
So like when a Black woman like stops me and is like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for everything. Thank
mhm,
you for all the work that you do," and like highlighting us and celebrating us, like I think that's got to be my biggest career flex. Like that I've actually put out work in the world
mhm.
where other people, Black women and beyond,
Right.
like recognize it, like my voice or me or whatever. Like that's wild to me. Still to
Yeah.
this day, like someone said something like that to me yesterday at my son's baseball game and was like,
Mm.
"I've been following you for the past 7 years, and I see you sometimes at the baseball field, and I haven't said anything. Today I wanted to say something." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for saying hello." But also, it's just such a joy to hear that. Because
Right.
sometimes, like, you feel like the work is thankless. You put the work
Mhm,
out into the world, and like you hope someone is reading it or seeing it. And so
mhm.
when they do, that feels good.
That that's so beautiful. That to me just says a lot for what we've already been talking about, but you now have something that is a legacy out into the world forever. It's captured. It's in
Mhm.
the hearts of many people. And my mom used to say this all the time. She says, as long as you impact one person in this world, you've done your job. So I continue to try to
That's right.
impact as many people as I can, but for it to come out in that way from doing what you love and doing a job that's impacting, you know, people out here in this world, and then to get it validated by someone you don't even know. Like I know that feels great. I know that definitely feels amazing and
Amazing.
special. And yeah, you keep doing it. I like I said, she's been watching you for 7 years. I've been watching you since college. And I'm like, what in
Many
the
years. Don't say how many
world?
years.
Yeah, we're not gonna put that out there. We're gonna put our ages out there. But it's your journey, your life, your story. It's been incredible. I'm
Thank
extremely
you.
proud of you. I really thank you for just coming on my show, this podcast, for opening the doors and shedding this light of the possibilities of the world, of who you can be and how you can be, and the strength and the courage to do it, the resilience to stand behind it and be on what to say, standing on your business, right? So,
Stand on the business. Yes, but you too. Look at this.
yeah,
Amazing that you're doing this podcast and like
mhm,
inspiring so many people. I appreciate you for asking me to be on here. It's really an honor.
thank you. I appreciate that. I want to ask you one last question. We've got you
Yeah.
tackled a lot, so I'm looking at my questions like I'm just no need to ask that 'cause that's redundant. Stupid. But my last question for you is pretty much, what advice would you give to your younger self starting out? Or you can say, what would you give out to young people who are aspiring to be who you are, what you are in the industry?
I mean, the advice I would give to my younger self is the advice I would give to Julie now too, is like don't worry so much.
Mm,
As much as I look like I've gotten together, like I have a lot of worry and anxiety. I've
mm,
actually been starting to paint lately to try to
mm,
help get my mind off of like spiraling into negative thoughts or like the what ifs, and like really stay present and like the blessings that I have.
mhm,
And so I feel like I've spent a lot of years worrying. What's
mm.
going to happen next? Is this going to happen? Am I not going to get this? Is this going to, is my family safe? Is like, all of these
Right.
things. And that's healthy and that's normal again. But I would say, don't worry so much. Like it's
Mhm.
all written, right? I don't,
Right.
whether you're spiritual or not, like it's all already written in the stars. Like like
Mm-hmm.
worrying is just taking away energy from you manifesting what's, to come and the
Right.
blessings. And so don't put energy into the negative stuff or thinking that
Right.
negative things can happen. I did a lot of that my younger self. I do a lot less of it now, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
there. So I need to do that. And I think that that's good advice for anyone,
Mm-hmm.
just try to stay in the moment and be grateful for what you have,
Mm-hmm.
and excited about what's to come instead of dreading what's to come. Like,
Right.
don't dread it. Like, be excited.
I feel like when I turned great age, I had more motivation to say, so what? I don't care. Or F it.
Oh my God. I mean,
F
I'll say it. When I turned 40, I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, I'm good on any block. I'm
mm-hmm.
like, I'm dope. My dopeness level has like skyrocketed. Like, I'm not trying to be anyone I'm not. Like, take
Mm-hmm.
me or leave me, but you want to take me because I'm that girl. Like, all of those things like really ignited when I
Mm-hmm.
got into this new decade of life. And I'm really appreciative of it. Like I think a lot of people dread getting older, and
Mm-hmm.
I've really seen it as a blessing because I'm like, what's the alternative?
Mm-hmm.
That I'm not here. Like the
Right.
goal is the goal is to get older. The
Right.
goal is like, yes, there are things that come with getting older that aren't great. Like, look, my body is not doing the things that it used to do, is aching in places that I'm like, what? I'm like, I used to be a Division I athlete. This does not feel like a Division I athlete body.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, but I can still move my body. I can still do the things, and I'm here. What a
Mm-hmm.
blessing it is to still be alive and to be able to experience life and experience people and eat that food and go to that place and
Right.
read that book and like all of those things. So I hate when people become like real ageist because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this is the goal. To get
Right.
old is the true goal here.
And live. Yeah.
And
It is.
live.
My mom is 76 years old, and I tell her every time, you're still here, so you're not done. Don't stop moving. Keep living on your purpose. Keep living your life,
Yeah.
and be great because you're still here. If you were done, you would be gone. But otherwise, you still have a purpose on this life. So live it to the fullest and continue to live your journey. So that was
And
excellent.
then don't you think like you just have gotten better?
Yeah.
Like I feel like in the grand scheme of things, like I look better, I like know
Mhm.
more, I'm like, all of those things. Like, I mean, I'm just like, it does get better.
Right.
My good friend Bevy Smith, the famous radio host,
hmm
actress, all of the things, she always says it gets greater later.
Mm.
And I'm like, she's right. Like, it just keeps getting better. So I'm grateful to be here and more
Greater
to
later.
come.
I like that. I like that. I think it's all about your peace. So when you want to maintain your peace, you don't get around stuff that's going to take away from your peace, and you have to protect your peace. And when you do that, it's like I've arrived. I'm here. I'm happy. Like flies. I'm happy. Why you
Happy.
mad?
Are you mad? Yeah, no, it's true. Like,
Mm,
it's good stuff. I'm so glad that we're both still here, both still doing our thing, and just, again, it gets greater later.
it does. Greater later. Greater later. So we'll go ahead and conclude. But I want to ask you if somebody wanted to reach out, pick your brain on some more ideas, how could they do that? Tell us how they could contact Miss Julie
Yeah,
Wilson.
I mean, the best place to find your girl is on Instagram. I'm on there all the time with the shenanigans, so don't stop. Um, you can get like a really good idea of my professional life, but also my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Slide in the DMs. And yeah, I connect with a lot of folks there that are either aspiring journalists or storytellers or
Mm-hmm.
brand founders or just people who feel like they want a social media community that is spreading, light and silliness.
Right.
Because
Right.
I always say my shenanigans. Like I'm up there doing trap music, like reviews and of beauty products and lip syncing to things, and then also, you know, celebrating being a mom. So
Right.
at Miss Julee, MissJulee.
Well, and we'll add that to this podcast as well. So, yeah, please follow her, because when I tell you, it's entertaining at the same time, it's educational, and it's also transparent. Like I said, seeing her in every stage or area of her life, with her kids, with her husband, with traveling, with celebrity, it's like, wow, what is this woman not doing? You're a superwoman. You're phenomenal. Again,
Mhm.
I really, truly, and thank you for being on this show and educating folks that are
Of course.
watching, learning, my students and my course and everything. So, and if you are watching and continue to stay uh, tied to Career Transformation Academy, again, we are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and LinkedIn at Career Transformation Academy. And you can find us on TikTok as well at The Blueprint by CTA. So all those platforms showcasing different tips, tricks, skills, how to, land your dream job, and interview strategies, resume strategies, networking, all of that stuff is there. But if you're really serious about taking a deep dive in your career to get the dream job that you want and really take that hard work to the next level in your life, contact us at www.careertransformationacademy.com. Myself or my team, we're there to help you, get you inspired, and start changing your life and put you more money in your pocket and get you to the bag. So let's help you change your life today. And other than that, Julie, it is a pleasure. I thank you so much for coming on here. This made my day. And yeah, I can't wait to really showcase this to the world. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We're out. Peace.